If you're sitting on your Bitcoin bag, do you want your Bitcoin bag to get smaller spending it on regulators, or do you want to buy the dip? You probably want to buy the dip. Okay. And if you start an exchange like Gemini, which probably loses money is my guess. I don't think they have much volume liquidity users, but they do have a lot of overhead, right? They've got like a bit license or whatever. So they might think in their head like, oh, well, maybe we'll make regulation more strict and we'll kowtow and supplicate to the most harsh district there is. And then did they make any money? Did they get rich on it? No, they would have made more money buying any altcoin in the bull run. Absolutely any altcoin would have outperformed their lifetime, Gemini earnings. And you get this tragedy of the commons where it's like, guys, you actually have to give up a little bit of your stack to promote the thing that will allow you to stay in business, or it slows the on-ramping, right? So like the best thing for the Gemini dudes would be if more people bought Bitcoin since they've got big bags of it. And the best thing for Bitcoin will if people could on-ramp to it. And the easiest way for them to on-ramp to it ain't Gemini. It's to let a thousand flowers bloom and let good ideas flourish. And I think the security theater stuff and the slowing down of on-ramping of new guys really is just hurting the good, honest man, which is the majority of men, and not hurting the bad guys. I mean, the bad guys just scammed how many billions of dollars? Did they have any problems doing that scamming of the billions of dollars? No. Okay, well, who's having problems? Everyone else in the world having to send these retarded selfies. We're all having problems. It's not fair to us. Those selfies didn't help anyone not get scammed. Not a single person. They're all totally wrecked. So what's up with the selfies crap? So like this concept that like if you have a utility bill, a story, and a government ID, that solves crime somehow. You're like, no, that's more hay. They're looking for needles in haystacks. You're giving them more hay. They don't need more data. They need more injunctions. They need more investigators. They need more tools. They need more actual law enforcement stuff. Security theater, giving people too much data. And by the way, all that data gets hacked and lost and used against the people you're trying to save. Why? Because if you collect it, it will get lost every time. The United States government's secret list of secret credentials for their secret clearance stuff got lost. If the government can't protect their secrets, what do you expect normal Joe Blow guy that just started a tech startup 2 years to protect? Like
No, that's funny you say that. I was listening to a podcast last week with Lex Friedman and a former FBI agent, and he said, we only catch the bad hack, we only catch the bad ones, and that's straight from the FBI. And for the interview, we have an interview set up.
Yeah, so here I'll jump back.
1 second. Here's BitBoy right here.
You want to do it on your account, clout?
Of course. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
All right, so I want to give everybody an update on what has happened, what's going on here. Basically, we came over here to the old building, which, we've already told you guys what we experienced here. We got, if you're watching on the channel, we got footage, show you guys what is on the inside. You're going to turn that down, AJ, with that. Basically what happened is we were up at the door taking some video of what is inside there. A representative from the communications and marketing team from Deltec Bank came down. She was very nice. Her name was Janae, and she said that they are willing to talk to us. They want us to give them a list of questions, and then we're going to go and we're going to interview. They want to be prepared for what we are going to be asked. So we're going to go eat lunch. We're going to sit down for an hour, and we're going to get the questions that we want, send it to them, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock, we're going to do this interview. We're not going to do this interview live. We told them that we don't want them to feel like they're being bamboozled or that we're going to play gotcha ball. Like, we really want to give them an opportunity to tell their side of the story and let people hear it and decide for themselves. So, I mean, you got to admit, I mean, it would have been very easy for them to keep hiding and let us walk around and call the police, and they didn't do it. So, Janae was awesome. She is a good, and this is what we find. Look, I don't know Deltec Bank from Adam. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who the guy that flipped us off in the window was. The security guard was great, but I do know it. Even some of these companies that do turn out to have really, really, really bad players and really, really bad actors, is the local Bahamian people that work there are great, and there are good actors there that may or may not know what is going on each level. So we're going to give them the opportunity to be fair, and we're going to let them tell their story. And guys, we're going to go eat lunch. So I'm going to have to cut this off because now this has moved on to a place where we got to go prepare for an interview. Thank you to everybody for listening. As always, it's been really, really, really great content, I believe.
Thanks, man.
And you guys are getting the truth of what's going on. So
Thanks a lot, dude.
I'm going to take off. Appreciate you guys. And hopefully we'll have this video out later tonight where we do this interview.
Thanks, Ben.
Best luck, man.
Tech has been here since 1985 in the Bahamas. It preceded, obviously, crypto. It preceded Tether. It preceded the Omni blockchain. It preceded all of that stuff by a considerable amount of time. I guess 22 years or so before Bitcoin was created when they came out. So this bank has been involved in a lot of stuff for a long time, but I don't know enough about Deltec Bank to tell you it's a bad company or anything like that. That's not what this is about. All I know is their connection to Tether, and everyone down here in crypto knows of the connection to Deltec and Tether. And when you really start doing your homework here and you really start looking around, you start seeing the scope of what all this is about. So there's my guy. There he is. He's in the window.
Maybe
He's in the window. Okay, come on down, guy. Come on. He didn't flip us off this time. He must know that we're trying to off. But Brian, am I listening to him on the headphones here for a reason? I hear TJ in my headphones.
so
I'm on the end of
maybe
my live
people
stream right
should
now.
look into
So I'm just on Twitter
what
space.
connection Deltec has with Citibank and the deposits that they may make between each other.
Now, was that in reference to the Brett Harrison or to Sam Trabucco? There was a question that Sam Trabucco got asked about the way they send money deposits from Tether and Deltec Bank, and I think if it went over into America, it crosses over to wire fraud, and I think they were trying to catch him on something. So is that what you're referring to? You want to talk about that for a minute?
I think everyone used Silvergate for that, no?
Yeah, I can do this and have these computer switching.
I'm not certain. I was actually asking.
Okay, but I can't do it.
Kind of
and this.
Is this what's been happening? Because we've heard this and we've heard that.
Hey guys, I'm gonna hand off my phone on Twitter Spaces to AJ for a couple minutes while I jump on my channel. So he's gonna run this. We're gonna keep it going until they come out, but I need probably about 5 minutes.
Need help with a co-host, Ben? I'm happy to help if you need.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah,
AJ,
sure.
hold
Sure.
You're such a generous friend.
So,
One
I mean,
second,
what,
1 second.
the thing you
Hey,
guys
how's
can all
everybody
do.
doing? How's everybody doing? AJ Wrights Crypto here, reporting from outside of supposedly the Tether headquarters. Basically yesterday we went to a spot and they were doing renovation, and then it said that this is the new spot, and we know for a fact that the 5th floor of this building is indeed their HQ. But they don't want us here. And does anyone want to jump in and want to answer that question? Why they don't want a free chance to prove their innocence?
Let's be serious, guys. There's not a single thing they could say that you would accept as evidence, except audited stuff that they don't want to give anybody. So like, there's nothing they could say that would make you be like, oh, cool, it's all good. You know, it's always going to be
fair.
opaque.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, this entire game is about optic, and the fact that like someone with a badge on their shirt doesn't come out and shake Big Boy's hand to save face, like, does speak volumes. Like, their silence is speaking volumes to me. Like,
Oh yeah,
you would at least think someone would come out and shake a hand and save face.
Oh yeah.
I feel you on that. But like, the thing is, remember, like, the best thing you guys can do that are listening is to take your private keys and your coins and your own possession and stop sucking middleman D, because you were the reason that all this money's been lost. All these people that stole all this money stole it because you let them steal it, because you're all idiots.
Yeah.
I told you all to remove all your coins from BlockFi for years. Everyone else had a BlockFi referral link. Now BlockFi is bankrupt as of a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Told you the same thing for Celsius. Told you the same thing for exchanges. Told you the same thing for like everything. And it's just, I've been in crypto since 2011. Every bull run, everybody starts a fund and everyone goes bankrupt. Every bull run. So.
And Richard, I don't know if you remember, but we had a conversation at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta the night we saw the weekend in the box suite there, and I asked you, like, you know, like, first, like, if you had to give advice to someone coming up in crypto, what would be your advice? And your advice was to not day trade. And I spent a long time chewing on that piece of advice, and I think because you have to be on exchanges, you have to constantly be like in and out of Tether, which is like, I'm kind of concerned. I don't currently hold any more Tether since a couple months ago, actually. But would you like to elaborate on that point you made to the audience?
So quite simply, the people that get rich in crypto are holders and founders, and everyone else gets annihilated. There is an exception. There's referral link guys. The referral link guys in general can only make money on you getting destroyed margin trading. So if there's if the referral link, like most YouTubers with funny face pictures, they're just promoting a margin trading link, and they know all their users get destroyed. They know all their users get liquidated. They know all their users get chopped up by fees because they get a report, and it shows how much their cut of the losses was. And so So, if you want to be good and wholesome and honest and make the world a better place, you got to think, well, how do you help the users? How do you help the guys you're really trying to help? I mean, are you trying to make Tether another billion? Are you trying to make an exchange another billion? Are you trying to get Brian Armstrong another billion? And the answer for me is no. They have enough billions. Another billion wouldn't even make them even any happier. And it's just going to sit in the bank and get deployed by guys with, a worse moral compass that don't even care about crypto. So, if you want to help the common man, you stop them from getting hacked. You help them to not get scammed. No free giveaways. Be very careful with free airdrops. Don't connect to weird dApps. Anyone that messages you is trying to scam you. Anyone that DMs you is trying to scam you. It's almost always an imposter with a misspelled username, and it's very hard to catch these misspellings sometimes, especially if they can use foreign character sets. Yeah. And then don't take counterparty risk. And for God's sake, don't trade. I mean, I bet you more people lost their stacks trading than they did in these collapses. Because think about it. Where did FTX lose all their money? Alameda. And where did Alameda lose all their money? Trading. Yeah. Oh, oops. Yeah. Okay. And where did Genesis lose their money? Well, kind of trading, like making loans is trading. So, and another thing people don't understand is when you take a loan against your crypto, you actually just sold it. You don't realize it. You're actually just leveraged long. So you can't just take loans against stuff and think it's free money. It's not how it works. So
I remember what you said to us exactly was the 3 L's: ladies, liquor, and leverage.
Yeah.
And
I've been in Bitcoin since 2011. I mined it at 50 cents. I bought it at $30. My introduction was the death market. It went right down to $2 over the next 6 months. And I didn't see break even until a year and a half later total.
Yeah.
And I posted this chart yesterday. And it's like, I was born in the bear market. I was raised by it. I see it every 3 years. And it's like everyone else thinks it's never going to happen. They think this time is different. They do all the same stupid stuff over and over again. And I think if I had more followers that people could be saved. And it's sad. So look, follow me, Richard Hart Win. But if the people that listened to me were saved and the people that didn't were annihilated, I faced that scumbag Mashinsky on a live stream and told him, look, you're the opposite of why crypto was invented. Crypto is invented to get rid of middlemen. You're a middleman. You want to take people's keys from them. And then I hear Simon on Spaces all the time, and he makes money on people that take your keys from you. And at some point, you're just like, come on, man. This is the opposite of why crypto exists, bro.
Yep.
Richard, when do you think that, since you've been in crypto since 2011, I'm curious to hear your perspective on when do you think the libertarian ethos of cryptocurrency started changing to this more statist reliancy on the government and the reliancy on CeFi rather than the actual notion of DeFi, no middlemen, and peer-to-peer economic sovereignty? When did you start seeing that ideological difference, that transition?
Well, when all the stuff they tried failed, right? So local Bitcoins was going to be the answer to centralized exchanges. And then they pretty much failed. And now, no one uses it. And then, there was going to be a local cryptos that was going to try and do it for Ethereum. I guess that didn't work out. Then there was going to be BISC. And then there was no order book depth. There was no liquidity. And then every attempt at actually decentralizing the worst pain point in crypto, which is the exchange layer, the layer that's not the crypto. The worst pain point in crypto is getting out of the suck and into the good stuff. Crypto is the good stuff. The suck is this counterparty risk crap. And the dollar really that only goes down. So and then you can't build on it, right? So we do have massive, gigantic, insane liquidity for Ethereum, USDC, USDT, DAI on chain on Ethereum. And so basically Uniswap, an automated market maker, constant product, and now they have CLOB, right? So you can do single-sided liquidity on Uniswap now. So it kind of acts like a central limit order book. You don't have to do it symmetrical. That revolutionized and de-risked so many people. There's so many people. Who's not getting robbed? The hackers. Because the hackers just stole the money, left it on chain, and then maybe put it through a couple of on-chain exchanges, and then they didn't get counterparty risk murdered. So the hackers are the guys that get to keep all their money. The people that hacked Silk Road and the people that hacked Bitfinex and didn't margin trade the coins got to keep their coins. Everybody else, all the other people that thought they were smart, took all this off-chain risk and got totally annihilated. So I think Bitcoin lost the plot when you couldn't get mad gains anymore because the world's richest guy already bought. And so you're like stuck with limp gains forever. You're down after a 5-year hold. You're down after holding 5 years. You know,
Hey,
crypto used to have a good.
Yeah, just a quick heads up. Someone has come out of the building, a woman, long black hair, and she is speaking to Ben about the situation. I don't feel like she's a security guard, that's for sure. Very interested to hear how this develops. Please continue where you are. I just wanted to fill you guys in.
Sounds like you might get a date anyway.
Just maybe. We can only hope for the best, Richard.
So, you know, it's if you live by the core principles of crypto, which is not your keys, not your coins, remove counterparty risk, do not trade, do not leverage trade, do not get chopped up by getting in and out, buy and hold the right thing that's got product market fit and hold it for a long time, no one's outperformed you. So people will get leveraged up and outperform you in a bull run until they evaporate. And so this is what happened. And by the way, it makes me so angry that all of these scamming scumbag subhuman pieces of trash have more followers than me when I was right about everything and they were wrong about everything. Sam Bankman-Fried, 1 million followers. Me, 250,000. Who's the other dude? Three Arrows Capital. Su. Oh, I don't know. More followers than me. Every scumbag that scams everybody's got more followers than me. Mashinsky, more followers than me. Well, why? Did these guys give you free coins? No, I'm giving you free coins. Did these guys protect you and help you, or did they get you wrecked? Did these guys tell you Bitcoin was going to 10K or 100K? Well, I'm the 10K guy and I'm winning, and they're the 100K guys and they're totally bankrupt. They're in bankruptcy court, sad face, running away from anybody, hiding. And I've never been more public. So like, it's not a fair world out there. And I mean, heck, I'm even twerking my ass and wearing clown clothes and buying silly crap, and I still can't catch up on the follower count. I mean, am I that ugly? I don't get it.
Just a quick fill-in. This woman is from Tether. She kind of danced around down the edge, saying like, like we have to talk to our regulators and talk to our other people, and we're gonna kind of do that conversation between us. And then after we have that conversation, we will talk. So I will give Tether some props here for facing this and coming to talk to Ben about it. I think that is a good look for them. I think that's what they need to do. Even if like someone said, they can't prove everything like with the correct documents and whatnot, but still the fact that they are willing to talk, that says a lot, So
did you see that New York Times article about that YouTuber that gets 10 views per video that tries to bust crypto scams? And you're like, who is this guy? Like what weird corner of the planet did you guys scrape this thing out from? The thing that no one's ever seen before. And why are the people that have been here for decade and got it right over and over and over again called the top on the day? Anyone else call the top on the day? No, I call the top on the day. And it's like, you just want to virtually slap these people through the internet and try and make them smarter.
Yeah. I mean, just like with any a group of friends that you could have that have questionable decision-making qualities, like you can tell them the truth and when like what they should do to your blue in the face, and they can hear you, but that doesn't mean they're going to listen. And like some people have to maybe find their own bottom or get wrecked a certain amount of times or get to a point where they are willing to listen to the right people and are willing to get their version of the truth. So there's something to be said about that too.
Yeah, they always say that one thing I've highlighted. One of my favorite quotes is that the first bull market is the one to learn from. The second one is capitalized from. That's even something true for me personally. I don't know if you guys agree, but that's something that's a philosophy that I've personally taken with me on my crypto and blockchain journey. But I want to ask you, all of the speakers here, do you believe that a reactionary response is going to come that's going to maybe bring back the principles of DeFi now that centralized exchanges are collapsing and Ben, being in the boots on the ground, and Richard, perpetuating the true ethos of cryptocurrency, bringing up that DeFi is paramount, that peer-to-peer transaction are paramount, that the need for the state is not what cryptocurrency stands for. Do you foresee a reactionary response back to the older crypto, or is that kind of like...
No. I mean, people with hammers thinks everything's a nail. People with screwdrivers thinks everything's a screw. And government thinks every solution is to make more laws. And when's the last time you saw a law removed? Or when's the last time you saw a tax lowered? So governments only raise taxes and only make more laws and only create more jobs for more government. That's all they do. And so, like, unless you become part of the governance process, like BitBoy's trying to do, and actually improve that from the inside a little bit. I mean, there's a saying from a quite old what's it called, philosopher. He says, like, one of the bad parts about not being part of governance is that you're destined to be ruled by your lessers. So it's like it's an unfortunate, the guys that are already sitting in America on 1 million boards of directors talking to regulators with infinite money anyway should be deploying some of their capital to make sure they can stay in business. So the Winklevi drone bot, whatever those two things are, the guitarist or whatever the Winklevi are now, the guys that got their users scammed by getting them into Gemini Earn, those guys, they should be deploying money similar to how Sam Bankman-Fried was, but for good, honest purposes to create more freedom in crypto, not less. If it's like, guys get caught in a weird space, right? So they try and do what they think is maximally profitable for them. So if you're sitting on your Bitcoin bag, do you want your Bitcoin bag to get smaller, spending it on regulators, or you want to buy the dip? You probably want to buy the dip. Okay. And if you start an exchange like Gemini, which probably loses money is my guess. I don't think they have much volume, liquidity, users, but they do have a lot of overhead, right? They've got like a bit license or whatever. So they might think in their head like, oh, well, maybe we'll make regulation more strict and we'll kowtow and supplicate to the most harsh district there is. And then did they make any money? Did they get rich on it? No, they would have made more money buying any altcoin in the bull run. Absolutely any altcoin would have outperformed their lifetime, Gemini earnings. And you get this tragedy of the commons where it's like, guys, you actually have to give up a little bit of your stack to promote the thing that will allow you to stay in business, or it slows the on-ramp, right? So like the best thing for the Gemini dudes would be if more people bought Bitcoin since they've got big bags of it. And the best thing for Bitcoin will if people could on-ramp to it. And the easiest way for them to on-ramp to it ain't Gemini. It's to let a thousand flowers bloom and let good ideas flourish. And I think the security theater stuff and the slowing down of on-ramping of new guys really is just hurting the good, honest man, which is a majority of men, and not hurting the bad guys. I mean, the bad guys just scammed how many billions of dollars? Did they have any problems doing that scamming of the billions of dollars? No. Okay, well, who's having problems? Everyone else in the world having to send these retarded selfies. We're all having problems. It's not fair to us. Those selfies didn't help anyone not get scammed. Not a single person. They're all totally wrecked. So what's up with the selfies crap? So like this concept that like if you have a utility bill, a story, and a government ID, that solves crime somehow? You're like, no, that's more hay. They're looking for needles in haystacks. You're giving them more hay. They don't need more data. They need more injunctions. They need more investigators. They need more tools. They need more actual law enforcement stuff. Security theater, giving people too much data. And by the way, all that data gets hacked and lost and used against the people you're trying to save. Why? Because if you collect it, it will get lost every time. The United States government's secret list of secret credentials for their secret clearance stuff got lost. If the government can't protect their secrets, who do you expect normal Joe Blow guy that just started a tech startup 2 years to protect? Like
No, that's funny you say that. I was listening to a podcast last week with Lex Friedman and a former FBI agent, and he said, we only catch the bad hack, we only catch the bad ones, and that's straight from the FBI. And for the interview, we have an interview set up.
Yeah. So here, I'll jump back.
1 second. Here's BitBoy right here.
You want to do it on your account, clout? Of course.
Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
All right, so I want to give everybody an update on what has happened, what's going on here. Basically, we came over here to the old building, which, we've already told you guys what we experienced here. If you're watching on the channel, we got footage, show you guys what is on the inside. We're going to turn that down, AJ, we're back. Basically what happened is we were up at the door taking some video of what is inside there. A representative from the communications and marketing team from Deltec Bank came down. She was very nice.
Or get busted by the feds with it, and which is weird. So stable coins don't work like that. So if a person's got a huge stack of crypto and they die, that benefits all the other holders sometimes. But in a stable coin, if a person dies with a whole bunch of stable, who's it benefit? It just benefits the issuer. It doesn't benefit any of the other holders.
Right. Yeah.
So stables are this weird thing where you get all the downside compounded. This issuer could screw you, the algo could screw you, the chain could screw you, the bank could screw you, the regulator could screw you. You get more people that could screw you, but you also don't get a yield, and you don't get any FDIC insurance. And so it's kind of it's an unfortunate kind of necessary evil that crypto's so volatile that once every 3 years you got to de-risk, and it's unfortunate.
Richard, I got to ask a question if you don't mind. How come Hex doesn't use Stark Snark?
Dude, that stuff wasn't even existing when Hex come out, bro. Like, it wasn't even a thing.
Understood. I have zero knowledge for like 20 years. I just didn't know if you guys had ever tried that or were interested in it at all.
Well, I mean, look, it existed, but unless someone has actually used it, audited it, put it in production, anytime you use the new cutting edge stuff, you're the guy that's going to lose the millions of dollars to find out where the bug was. Yep. And so Hex was the first project in the world.
Developers transition into Web 3. So to create a token, we need to write a smart contract. Now, a smart contract is just a piece of code that runs on the blockchain. We are going to use Remix to write our smart contract. It was created by the Ethereum team and it has everything we need to get this job done. Now, head over to remix.ethereum.org and here, under the contracts folder, create a new file. Call it whatever you feel relates to your new token. I'm going to use cowtoken.sol. Now, smart contracts are written in a programming language called Solidity, but don't worry, we don't have to write our entire logic of our token from scratch. That can be time consuming and risky. Because remember, once we deploy anything to the blockchain, it will be there forever, so we don't want any careless bugs. And for this reason, we'll be using the Open Zeppelin library. Open Zeppelin is a smart contract library which has the code for common functions like creating a token or NFTs. These contracts have been tested for bugs and are used by most developers. So we're going to go to openzeppelin.com/contracts, then click on Get Started. Now, if you Google a smart contract from Open Zeppelin, sometimes you'll find what you're looking for, but it might be the previous version. So up here, make sure you're using the most recent release. From the menu on the left, select ERC20. This is the name of the standard for creating a token. Now we'll just copy this code over to Remix. Now change the name of the contract to whatever you want. I'm going to use cowtoken.sol. Now on line 8, the first option is the name of the token and the second option is the symbol or the ticker symbol which is visible in your crypto wallet. I'm going to put cow token here and then CAL for the ticker symbol. And that's all the coding that is required for our basic token. Now we need to compile this contract. So switch to the compile tab and click on compile yourtokenname.sol. Now we're ready to deploy our token, but first we need to connect our wallet to the Polygon network. Now there are a few ways to do this. You can visit polygonscan.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click on the button at the bottom to automatically add the network to your MetaMask. Or you can manually open the wallet, click on the network selection dropdown, and then click on Add Network. It will open up a whole new page. Here we can add Polygon mainnet in the network name field. Then we add the new RPC URL, 137 for the chain ID, Matic in the currency symbol field, and then the Polygon Scan website in the Block Explorer URL field. Now that's done, we are ready to deploy our contract. Let's switch to the Deploy tab in Remix. We'll choose the environment as Injected Web3, and this is going to be controlled by our MetaMask wallet extension. Then choose the contract we want to deploy. The default showing here is not the token that we created. You have to click on this dropdown and then choose the correct file. Then we'll enter an initial supply of 100 million. Then click Deploy and confirm the transaction in MetaMask. Take a note of how much it costs to deploy this token and take a wild guess on how much you think the same contract will cost on the Ethereum mainnet. Depending on how busy the network is, it might fail, but give it another go and then we'll head over to Polyscan and see our new deployed token. We can see the transfers that have been made for this token and we can see there is currently one holder and that is your wallet. That was a pretty cheap way to get our token on a popular chain like Polygon. Now, just a quick side note, if you are going to start working with Polygon and Matic, don't do what I did and buy Matic without doing some double checks. I bought a whole bunch of Matic from Coinbase. I was in a rush and I didn't realize it was an Ethereum based version. I spent a lot of time looking for ways to send my Ethereum Matic over to the Polygon network. I found a bridge, but the fees were much more than I even had in Polygon tokens. In the end, I just gave up and I went to a place called MoonPay where I bought some Polygon Matic on the Polygon network. So before you buy, do your own research, make sure that the place that you buy it from allows you to get your tokens on the correct network. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching and I'll speak to you soon.
Here's our other Bitcoin, CoinDesk Bitcoin news updates. Scrutiny over Sam Bankman-Fried is heating up yet again. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Sheldon Whitehouse are calling on Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate the, quote, disturbing allegations of fraud and illicit behavior that led to the collapse of FTX, end quote. And also they're demanding that the company's executives be held accountable for, quote, to quote, the fullest extent of the law, end quote. Warren is a longtime critic of the crypto industry and has been closely monitoring the collapse of the Bahamas-based FTX. Meanwhile, a crypto wallet attributed to the failed BTCE exchange burst into life yet again today with its largest transaction since August 2017. It sent a total of 10,000 Bitcoin worth $165 million to two unidentified recipients. BTC Exchange is linked to the 2014 Mt. Gox hack, where over 744,000 Bitcoin were stolen. And on to El Salvador. The National Assembly in that country is considering a draft to regulate digital securities. It's a sign that the country is going ahead with plans to issue Bitcoin-backed bonds. The bill is seeking to establish a National Digital Assets Commission that will oversee the regulation of digital asset issuers, service providers, and other participants involved in the, quote, public offering process, end quote, of digital securities. In 2021, El Salvador became the very first country in the world to make Bitcoin legal tender.
The fallout from the collapse of crypto exchange FTX widens as crypto lender BlockFi is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in New Jersey. Yahoo Finance crypto reporter David Hollerith joins us now. David, good to see you. That question has been, since FTX went down, everyone looking around, who's next? And now we know.
Yeah, just a little bit about BlockFi's history over the past year. As many know, they faced troubles over the summer, along with competitors, Voyager Digital and Celsius Network. And unlike those two, which filed for bankruptcy in July, BlockFi was saved by a white knight bailout from FTX. And obviously, in recent days, many people have seen how the bailout has turned out to be its undoing. So this is not necessarily a surprise. BlockFi paused withdrawals almost 2 weeks back, and when that happens to a crypto company, it's typically difficult to revert in terms of avoiding bankruptcy. So the company has more than 100,000 creditors in its bankruptcy petition, and about anywhere between $1 and $10 billion in assets and liabilities. It was also revealed, too, that its three biggest creditors are Ancura Trust, which is a distressed loan administration company, West Realm Shires, which is an FTX affiliate firm, and also a settlement payment it made to the SEC, which is still outstanding. And according to its declaration, which was also filed today, the results what sort of happened that led to the bankruptcy and BlockFi filing for Chapter 11 ultimately was a liquidity shortage, which started in the first 2 weeks of November, wherein BlockFi requested more credit from FTX, and an FTX affiliate firm, Alameda, eventually defaulted on $680 million in loan obligations. Now, going to this restructuring, BlockFi, has about $256 million in cash to pay for operations. It's also laid off about 2/3 of its its workforce to cut expenses in bankruptcy.
And yeah, I find it pretty interesting that the SEC is listed among the creditors of BlockFi. But let me ask you, everybody's wondering who's next.
I already covered Fosh and KD Plasma Mobile, but Ubuntu Touch has been around for a long while in the very niche market of Linux mobile desktops. So I think it's time we took a look at the granddaddy of these interfaces. But first, we're gonna hear a message from our sponsor. The videos, better sound, better description below, will get access to a free trial of Skillshare Premium, and after that, failed Ubuntu focus. Now, it went on its little way, trying to focus more on getting more manufacturers on board, trying to ship to manufacturers in 2014, 3 years after it was started, And there was also the infamous Ubuntu Touch on the PinePhone with the official update, and it has a nice sizable community behind it. Now I tried Ubuntu Touch on the PinePhone with the official stable builds that they release on their website. It works really well. I didn't switch to the kernel update branch, which is a branch that supposedly brings more performance and makes the camera a little bit more usable, because when I tried it, it crashed a lot of various apps, so I stayed to the stable branch. Ubuntu Touch uses the Unity 8 shell. It's an evolution and probably a complete rewrite of what was Unity 7 that you probably used or heard of. It was the default desktop environment for Ubuntu for a long time before they moved back to GNOME 3. Now, Unity 8 is now called Lomiri because they wanted to avoid confusion with other projects named Unity, which is understandable. So the shell itself is pretty nice to use. It's based on gestures, starting from the screen edges. A short swipe from left to right will bring a launcher with the default applications pinned to it, and your current open apps as well appearing on top of the shortcuts. If you long press one of these, you can pin it or unpin it. A longer swipe from the left edge will bring the whole list of applications displayed as a grid, where a single tap will open the app. If you swipe from the right towards the left in a short motion, you'll switch to the next open app, and that is actually a super useful and super fast gesture to use. Recently open apps just fly in, it's all very zippy, very fast. If you make a long swipe from the right edge, then you'll get to a multitasking view with apps displayed in a 3D layout. You can swipe an app's card up to close it, or tap an app to resume it. Now again, this is super fast and super smooth compared to the other mobile alternatives like Phosh or KD Plasma Mobile. Now finally, a swipe from the top edge of the screen will bring the notifications and the quick settings, which don't display as on most other operating systems. They're in a straight line that you can scroll from left to right, and you can tap each icon to get to a quick few shortcuts like enabling or disabling a specific feature, or dive deeper into the settings. Once you've pulled down the notification shade, if you hold it, you can also swipe left and right to quickly switch toggles without having to tap on them, which is pretty handy. Now here again, it's pretty fast and fluid, although I'm not sure that the screen space usage is all that great, having just one line of quick toggles and the rest of the screen completely blank with no information whatsoever, or only the 2 or 3 options that you can show by clicking on those quick toggles. It's probably not the most efficient use of your screen space, but it's innovative and it's actually not that bad in terms of usability. Now the shell itself is really great to use. The gestures take about 10 minutes to get used to, but once that's the case, it's just a more natural and more normal way to navigate a phone, just using the screen edges to zip through the launcher, through the recent open apps, and through the notification shade is just very intuitive, very simple, and I like it. Now Ubuntu Touch ships a respectable number of default apps. As most other alternatives, it's lacking a default email client, but there are options in the store, we'll see about that in a bit. So out of the box, you get a nice calculator that handles rotation beautifully to display more options, and lets you swipe from the bottom when you're in portrait mode to still get access to these options. The default calendar app looks good, with an agenda view that shows your various events in order, and there's also a day, week, month, and year view. I won't dwell on the camera app, as support for the PinePhone camera is still in its infancy. It's rare that it even displays an image, and when it does, the viewfinder is extremely slow and out of focus. It's basically unusable, as is the camera app of every other Linux mobile distribution that I tried on the PinePhone. Now the clock application lets you add various clocks from all around the world, start a timer, or use a stopwatch. Swiping from the bottom in the clock tab, the distribution that I tried on infancy, it's rare that it even app, as support for the PinePhone camera is still in its infancy, it's rare that it even displays an image, and when it does, the viewfinder is extremely slow and out of focus. It's basically unusable, as is the camera app of every other Linux mobile distribution that I tried on the PinePhone. What you'd expect, listing your contacts and allowing you to set some as favorites, and you can also swipe from the bottom to create a new one. The file manager looks good, although it's a bit slow to start, and lets you create files and change how the directories look. Only issue here is that if you try to copy-paste something, the file manager will crash and take the whole phone with it. So it's basically not that usable at all, except for maybe navigating your files, but you can't really move them around. And that brings us to the gallery application, the music player, and the video media player, which I'm pretty sure are really good, but I couldn't use them because there was no way for me to get any media onto that phone. Basically, trying to plug in the PinePhone with Ubuntu Touch didn't show it up as an external media device, so I couldn't just copy-paste stuff on it. ADB shell wouldn't recognize it either, and when I try to download stuff from my Nextcloud public share link, it saved it in the downloads folder, but when I tried to copy paste them to other folders, it crashed the whole phone, so basically there was no way for me to add music or to add pictures or videos, so there we go. Now the messaging app works as you'd expect, letting you type messages and send them to your contacts. You can also swipe up from the bottom edge of the screen to start a new message. The web browser is alright, if a bit slow to start. It lets you pick your search engine and homepage, and also display web pages in desktop mode, but there are no sync capabilities for history, bookmarks, or passwords, so it's not going to be fantastic to use. Now, fortunately, it loads pages pretty fast and is reasonably responsive in use. A swipe from the bottom lets you switch tabs or open a new one. Now, there's also a terminal app that looks really good and has quick aliases in the bottom left corner, which should make typing commands a bit faster for people who are inclined to use a terminal on their phone, which I'm not. The Notes app is also pretty competent and syncs with Evernote, although there doesn't seem to be any Nextcloud sync available here, which is unfortunate. And this leaves us with the phone dialer, which is pretty simple, letting you pick a contact or just type the number you want to call, and the weather app, which is really black and white and pretty Spartan, and it reminds me of a Windows Phone app, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, all these apps look and feel pretty good. They are all coherent in terms of look and feel, in terms of how you navigate them, and they all make the same horrible heresy that in 2021 you would have the back button in the top left corner. The screens have gotten big, and your thumbs haven't gotten bigger, at least not mine. And so I can't reach this back button with one hand. I need to switch my grip on the phone, and that's just not something you should do. So the back button should be either on the bottom left or it should be an edge swipe away. But generally the experience is really good. All the applications look and feel like they were designed with the same purpose in mind, with the same team behind them. The shell is zippy, it's fast, the applications load relatively quickly for the PinePhone's hardware. It just works well, and it's nice to use a system that feels coherent and well designed from the beginning. It's all top-notch work here. Now, the settings page uses a sensible icon grid instead of the terrible list of options that iOS and Android have made popular, and I really love that. It makes it a lot easier to find what you're looking for. You don't have to scroll through a whole list of stuff with super tiny icons. Now you can really pick and choose what you want. You can really see what you're going to have when you click on an icon. It's much, much better. But in terms of settings, Ubuntu Touch is pretty bare bones. In terms of customization, you can change the wallpaper, the ringtone for calls and messages, and that's about it. A few apps let you switch to a dark mode in their settings, and some offer to respect a system preference, but that's not something I could find in the settings at all. There doesn't seem to be a global preference for dark mode here. Now you can change how the keyboard looks though, with multiple themes available, as well as a whole bunch of options to make sure that typing will be as close to what you want as possible. Now, vibration doesn't seem to be supported for Ubuntu Touch on the PinePhone yet, so I couldn't try that, and that's a bummer, but yeah, the PinePhone is not completely ready to be used with any mobile distribution, so I'm not gonna hold that against Ubuntu Touch. So the big problem in the settings is mainly due to bugs. There is an accounts page that would let you sync with the outside. You could set up a Nextcloud account, a Gmail account, or an own cloud account. But the problem is when you type on that, it just does nothing. It spins in the air for no well-explained reason, and it never asks you to log into anything, which means that Ubuntu Phone, as of now, lives in a microcosm of itself, and you can't sync it with anything else, at least not in my case on the PinePhone, which is too bad because that makes it completely unusable for me. I need my phone to sync with the calendars, the contacts, the notes, basically everything that I use. It needs to be synced with my desktop or I can't use that phone. Basically, there are all a few bugs here and there that makes the experience really not that great, which is too bad, because Ubuntu Touch looks professional, feels coherent, feels well designed, and is really fluid and responsive, so if they could just put some fixes on those small bugs, it would really make the experience a top-notch level. Now, the Open Store serves as the App Store for Ubuntu Touch. It is not a package manager like you could find on other mobile Linux alternatives. There is no way to download a desktop program here, at least not through the store. So you will get apps that were made specifically for Ubuntu Touch, and there are around 400 of these in total. Now, you don't move to a Linux-powered phone because you want the most applications available out there. You use it because you want to get away from the big tech corporations, because you want to tinker with your phone, or just because you want to use Linux on everything and Android isn't really Linux. So generally, you shouldn't be too bothered by the fact that there are many apps, especially since in the 400 apps available, most of them are unofficial web apps, which lets you get access to most websites that people would want to use on their phones. And that's also where you can get a nice email client called Decat 2, among other applications. This email client should really be the default. It works really well, it looks nice, the interface is really well integrated, it's just a good experience. The Open Store itself doesn't handle the updates, they're handled in the system settings, with app updates and over-the-air updates for the system itself. They're all grouped in the same place, which is fine. And well, the Open Store experience isn't bad. You can search, you can install, you can basically do anything that you would want to do on a store on a phone. The thing is, you know, using the Open Store, that what you install is going to be fitted to your device's screen, which is a big plus compared to Plasma Mobile and Phosh, which will let you figure out by yourself which apps are compatible with the phone and which will display in a weird way. So I really like the approach of Ubuntu Touch here. Restrict the number of apps that are available, but make sure that these are all at least passable experiences, instead of having the unfortunate surprise of installing something and realize that it's never going to work on your phone, so you have to uninstall it and look for another alternative. It's just a pain. So yeah, the Open Store experience is pretty good as well. Now, to conclude on Ubuntu Touch, I really like what I'm seeing. It's way closer to being used as a daily driver than Phosh or KDE Plasma Mobile, at least in my opinion, and that's understandable. It has been in development for far longer. The animations feel really fast and fluid. The shell gestures really make the experience a lot simpler and a lot nicer to use than the other alternatives. And yeah, it just looks good. It looks coherent, it looks nice, it has a simple white and black theme with a few accent colors. It's just a pleasure to use, and probably it's due to the fact that it's fast and fluid, which Phosh and Plasma Mobile really are.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and to a new video for NetBoot and also other variations. Which time zone are you in? Now UTC for me it's fine, but if you are not sure which interface for internet I want to use. Now this is a virtual machine, so I have only one internet interface, which is and LVM data same as data, but uses LVM for partitioning. So in my case it's going to be a traditional disk install, so I'm going to type in here sys and then hit enter. So warning, erase the above disks and continue. OpenRC boot process, and if everything went well, we should be seeing the LightDM display manager, which is right here. So let's enter the password, and we are now in XFCE. So this is a typical installation. So let's boot up the terminal here and type in, let me increase the font sizes, and we can type in here free-h. You can see we are using about 315 megabytes of RAM. XFCE is very light. Now be aware that you don't have all the utilities available here in Alpine. You will need to install something like LSBLK or other utilities that you might use, for example, to monitor your system. So for example, if I type in here top, the top utility is already installed, but htop is not installed, like also in other distributions. So if you need this, you need to install it by typing in do as apk add and then htop, for example. Our home directory is here already created. We have the Advaita icon theme already here available for us. And we have the typical XFCE desktop environment here. If you go to the settings manager, go under appearance here, the system also very snappy and fast on boot and also on shutdown. Now I will do other videos about Alpine Linux in the future, and if there is something specific that you want to see, let me know in the comments below and I will try to cover it. So this was the first video for Alpine Linux. You can see it's a very lightweight distribution, and by using the OpenRC init system, it makes the distribution very snappy. Now I'm going to explore Alpine Linux a little bit more in the future, and as I said before, if you have anything specific that you would like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any question about this video, let me also know in the comments below, and I also hope that you like
2 years ago, Voller started its smartphone journey from Germany with Viel Vergnügen as their motto, and the first Voller phone was a success, I would say, with fairly good hardware, but also with the support of the operating system. Voller has their own operating system, but there's also the possibility to install Linux and in specifically the Ubuntu Touch UI that you can see here running on my Voller phone. And this is the one that I want to review now that the successor is coming fairly soon. So summer 2022, the Voller phone 22 will come out and will feature not only the Voller operating system, but also Ubuntu Touch and others with multi-boot support. So I think it's a good time to check out how Ubuntu Touch has been keeping up with the Voller phone over the years, 2 years old already, and how is it doing? So let's get started. Let's try the other finger, which is not, so it's not possible to unlock the device. This is one of the major gripes I still have a few years after the first version of Ubuntu Touch for the Voller phone, that I still have issues with the fingerprint reader, sometimes not recognizing my fingerprint, and other times, let's try it again, just working fine and unlocking the device. One of the bigger new features of this new Ubuntu release, let's check out the version number here so you can see which version number it is. It is Ubuntu 16.04 2022 W11. That's the operating system, and it has been updated just a few days ago. So this is the newest version that I have running here. I'm not sure if there's another version available. One of the major new features that I saw is not in the app selection, because the app selection is basically the same. I checked out the how's it called, Open Store, and few new applications have been added. Instagram as an Instagram app, Teleports as a Telegram application, which is pretty nice. There's some other applications here as well, as you can see, and I like it, I have to say, but not all of them are pretty good. This looks like a Twitter client here, Cine. Let's see, yeah, probably a Twitter client. No, it's not a Twitter client, it's some kind of chat application. A metrics chat application. So this is available here. So you have most of the applications that you need, and most of them are running fine. Just like, for example, here the Teleports Telegram client is working fine. Most of the applications that I showed you initially are still running fine on Ubuntu Touch here to date. What is new is the possibility to install a Waydroid. A Waydroid helper, first of all, is the application that I would recommend to download from the Open Store and then install Waydroid. It will reboot, and then you have the option to run Android applications on the Ubuntu Touch operating system. So let's go back here, and you will see I have some Android applications from the F-Droid store. So let's check out F-Droid. Here's F-Droid. And when I click on this, it will go directly to F-Droid. But how does it work? You can see it has some Android navigation buttons here cut off a little bit. Basically, what you have to do after you installed Waydroid is start Waydroid, which is simply booting up a version of LineageOS based on Android 10. And this will allow us to run all of the different applications. I can even go into this Waydroid application. Let me see here. I have it. It's not this one. Where is it? There we go. And if I'm not mistaken, it should take me to the desktop in a few seconds. It's not working. Let's go back and to F-Droid. And here I can go to desktop. Yeah, and there I have a full-fledged Android system running here as an application on top of Ubuntu Touch. So I can go to settings here, and Ubuntu Touch is restarting. This can happen sometimes, so it's the first time now for me, but Waydroid is still a beta version, so this is something that you might have an issue with. And let's try the unlock option. Doesn't work, of course. So 1, 2, 3, my super secret password, it restarted basically. So what I have to do is just simply maybe stop Waydroid here if it's still running. I think it crashed. And start Waydroid again, so I can see how long it takes starting up. You can see that it will take a while for starting up, but what's cool is that it will start up into an Android desktop environment or home screen, and you can use it then normally as you would use any other Android system. The cool thing is that you will end up with icons here also there we go. It started up, and here you have my Android-like configuration. Now let's go into settings to see if it's working. Yeah, it's working fine now. And I can go to about phone, and I can go about Android version. You can see this is LineageOS 17.1, so Android version 10 with security patches from February 5th 2022. So this is what I have here. But I can directly run applications also from here. Just like, for example, you can see I have various different calendar applications. Some of them are native applications from Ubuntu Touch. Other ones are from within the Waydroid environment. So I can run F-Droid, I can run Fairmail, File Manager, the gallery, simple gallery application, and some other applications. For example, NewPipe here, which is starting the YouTube client NewPipe, a free and open source YouTube client. The issue that I have here, let's search for something like, for example, one of my reviews of Ubuntu Touch that I had with this one is, first of all, volume controls. You get two, the native Ubuntu Touch one and the native Android one, is that when I want to switch to full screen, you can see it's not working. So rotation-wise, there's still a problem for watching some videos. It might be an issue here and there. So this is not going to work in this case, but there's also support for other things, like, for example, there is Open Camera. Let's find Open Camera. So you have also the possibility to use a camera application from within Android. And again, if I rotate it, you can see the UI is not working, but the recording function with the volume key is working. And I recorded a little sample to show you how it's looking like with 1080p 30 frames per second. I think this is the maximum that you can get here with Open Camera on the Volla phone.
So this is a test with the Volla phone using the main camera of the Volla phone, using Waydroid and the Open Camera application that has some digital image stabilization and hopefully also a good audio quality here using the Volla phone. What do you think about this feature?
So is there anything else in terms of apps and selections and so on? So we have our installed apps, we have app updates, fairly regular app updates, but not all apps are being updated all the time. Which is like a bit of a bummer. So this is one of the major drawbacks. The native apps are a little bit weak still, so not taking off as much as I would like to have. The updates are coming pretty nicely. So where do I have the update here? The update button. And you can see I updated here 17th of April to version 51 of Ubuntu Touch with those applications also being updated. So there's still updates coming for Ubuntu Touch and it's working quite nicely. I like to still use the Morph browser as web browser, which is very, very good and running fine. So downloading wallpapers and so on is one of my favorite things to do. It's also pretty smooth, I have to say. Other applications sadly are not so smooth, like for example the Telegram application Teleports that I mentioned before. Scrolling around here can be sometimes a lot of, let's search for Volla here, can be a lot of pain. It is a bit slow, I have to say, and you notice that here and there, but still it is working nicely. You have notifications, as you can see here. You have the possibility to attach external drives, access them. You have the possibility now to also use Android applications. I'm using mainly F-Droid applications and it's working fine. So it is a good system and it's still running fine, solid. It's a bit slow. You can see here already scrolling in this list. It's sometimes stuttery, which is like a problem that I don't want to have actually on my smartphone anymore. At least on those smartphones that only support 60 Hertz, they should run smooth and fine. Twitter application here is also running. It's a web browser, basically using the web browser, but still sadly did not update it, I think, to the new web engine. So it is still using an older version and scrolling is a little bit frustrating as well sometimes, because you can see it's like, it's not very fast and fluid.
The thing in seduction is everybody that you're dealing with is an individual. And your problem is you're bringing with you your baggage, your past, your stereotypes about who a man is or what a woman is like. The other sex is almost, Freud said, it's like another country. You don't really understand them in any way. So you bring with you all of these stereotypes, these preconceptions, and you just throw them on that person. And then you also have these lines that you learn from Robert Greene's book. And then you're not dealing with that person as who they are. And they know it, and they feel it, and it feels empty and mechanical. And so I preach it in the art of seduction is knowing that person, gathering intelligence on them, figuring out what makes them tick, who they are, what their needs are, what they're missing in life, what they want. Then when you reach that point and you know who they are, then you can make something a little bolder. The thing in seduction is everybody that you're dealing with is an individual. And your problem is you're bringing with you your baggage, your past, your stereotypes about who a man is or what a woman is like. The other sex is almost, Freud said it's like another country. You don't really understand them in any way. So you bring with you all of these stereotypes, these preconceptions, and you just throw them on that person. And then you also have these lines that you learn from Robert Greene's book. And then you're not dealing with that person as who they are. And they know it, and they feel it, and it feels empty and mechanical. And so I preach it in the Art of Seduction is knowing that person, gathering intelligence on them, figuring out what makes them tick, who they are, what their needs are, what they're missing in life, what they want. Then when you reach that point and you know who they are, then you can make something a little bolder. The thing in seduction is everybody that you're dealing with is an individual. And your problem is you're bringing with you your baggage, your past, your stereotypes about who a man is or what a woman is like. The other sex is almost, Freud said, it's like another.
If you're still here, you're an absolute legend, because that means that you've survived a bear market that has been 384 days. We've been going for 384 days since the top, and it's just going down and down and down. And the question is, how long is this bear market going to last? I've got some indicators today, which I'm going to show you. Brutal bear market. Not only has it been 384 days since we hit the Bitcoin top, but also the events of this bear market don't compare to the events of the last bear market. Now, yes, you could. So today we're going to be looking at BitBoy, what he's doing, and what the implications could be. And I've got a little bit of a warning for Bitcoin, for BitBoy. So stay there. We're also going to be looking at Phantom. Andre Krinier tweeted and wrote a Medium article over the weekend, a very, very, very good Medium article about Phantom over the weekend. Is it time to be adding Phantom back to your portfolios? That's what we're going to be talking about. Solana, there's a lot of Solana FUD, also originated by BitBoy and the whole FTX collapse. And we're going to be looking at whether Solana should be in your portfolios at all. So listen, there is a huge show today. I hope I can finish it in time. What I need you guys to do, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel. I need you to like the big margin. Every time the longs go bigger, the price comes down. Every time the shorts go bigger, the amount that Bitcoin has gone down, top to bottom, we're not at max pain yet. So you can see that, like the bear market one of 2011, we went down much more. We went down like 85 or 90%. If you look at bear market two, okay, so we are currently from all-time high, we are over here, and now it's happening over here. So if this market is similar to any other cycle, well, we could be turning pretty soon. There are a whole lot of other metrics which show exactly the same thing. So what he's saying is, hold on a second. Yeah, it's retard strength. It's like I ain't selling. No matter what happens, I'm not fucking selling. That's what basically retard strength is. And that's kind of where we are, because what he's saying is, look, if you're a hodler and you didn't sell after Luna, and you didn't sell after Celsius, and then you didn't sell after 3AC, and then you didn't sell after FTX, and you still didn't sell after the Genesis DCG GBTC FUD, what would actually make you sell? Like, what is it? And he wrote a thread this weekend, long thread, 10 parts, maybe Dupes, maybe you can explain it better than I can.
Okay, I'm on my mic. Sweet. Okay, well, I have to share screen quick. Let me just do that. 1 second. And we don't V-shape in. Yeah, see, I'm sticking with this.
Getting into. Now, after the weekend, so these tweets got great traction. This one got like 5,000 likes, and I did a 15 Black Friday. Now it's Cyber Monday to New York. And Tiffany Fong, who, again, I don't have verification, but she claims that she's been speaking to SBF. And I don't know if I believe her or not. I think I do. Don't see any reason why anybody would lie about something like that. But I haven't been able to verify it. And she apparently asked SBF, are you actually coming into person into New York City for the New York Times Summit? And he said, probably not. Now, I think that's probably the right move. There's no chance that SBF is going to New York right now. Right now, I actually don't even think SBF can leave his house. Taking pictures of like stuff, the guy's deodorant in his car, literally being, I mean, let's say this. First of all, congratulations to Ben for actually doing it. Because like he said, he's done something that no regulatory authority has actually done. And that is, he's actually gone to the Bahamas to go and, well, that's the thing. To go and do what? I mean, it's all very well that he went to the Bahamas, which I think is amazing.
You can't be what? Okay, I'm just on the phone. I'll be on the phone, right?
And the guy says, look, you guys can't be here. So, he didn't make much progress there. He didn't actually get to see SBF. But I mean, I think it was a very, very, very cool PR stunt. He went to see.
So apparently, there was one unit at One Cable Beach.
He went to see places
they rented.
where
they didn't even buy.
Where
so
the
there's a lot of
Bankman
discrepancies on this real estate that they
allegedly own.
They've done it with some shell companies and stuff like that. So it's hard to really know what they have. We've been told they did not have a whole floor. They did not have a penthouse. They had one unit here, and we're still trying to figure out where is this $121 million worth of real estate that they have.
So yeah, so that's pretty much what he did. He didn't actually get to see SBF. And I don't know what his agenda is. I don't see what the agenda is before that. We were going to go to Bahamas, but we said we'd only go if we can get exclusive or if we can get too addicted to the attention. And as a result of being addicted to the attention, I think that it was an attack by SBF to be able to launder funds. He said every time this line of blockchain paused, it was actually Alameda Research laundering money and brute forcing transactions. There are others out there, receipts. And if you think about it, knowing what we know now, does it surprise anyone if you and Solana ran for the hills? But then Anatoly Yakovenko, who's the founder of Solana, says if this attack was possible, the attacker would be able to do the same thing every 10 minutes with Bitcoin blocks. And so technologically, this is not possible. So falsely accusing Mr. Wonderful or somebody of murder in the public domain, someone with a big reputation, is a big problem, because that you can get sued for, and you can get defamation suits and stuff like that. He's also calling him a scammer. Many times he's calling the guy a scammer. Now, look, I'm not taking sides here. I don't know who's right and I don't know who's wrong, but I do hope that Ben, I don't want to say calms down, but I want to say that I hope that he knows what he's doing, and I hope that he's not biting off more than he can chew, as one of you saying. Because if he is, he's messing with big people now. And I don't want him. I think what he's done is great. I think he's really championed the people here. But I just worry what happens when stuff like this happens. And I've been looking at a lot of stuff like this. So it says, I may show up at Kevin's house next. Thank God Kevin O'Leary isn't in the Bahamas. Do you know how much water there is here? Would be extremely dangerous, referring to the bird interview. He says, Crypto Buzz, if you show up at my house, you can take out the garage, take out the garbage. I think he meant the garbage, and I'll pay you. Your first honest job. I invest lots of money in entrepreneurs. Why not you? Just a lot of this. There's a lot of this. Now, Ben's saying that the reason why Mr. Wonderful won't sue him is because if they go to discovery, a lot is going to come out. He says, I'll tell you what, Kevin, if I'm defaming you and you and Sam never had the conversation about a coordinated plan on Celsius, then sue me. It's a simple defamation suit. File it. See, I know you don't want to go to discovery. Let's see how big your balls are. Now, that's one thing that Mr. Wonderful can sue him for, but Mr. Wonderful can also sue him for defamation, for calling him a murderer, for defaming him, for destroying Mr. Wonderful's public image. And as a result, maybe Mr. Wonderful won't get as many gigs going forward or as many investments going forward. And so, as I said, love what Ben's doing. I think he's become addicted to the attention and the hype. And I just hope that he knows what the hell he's doing. I have spoken to him directly. I sent him a few messages and he replied. And actually, I'll tell you what he replied, because I don't think I think it's pretty public. Let me quickly find it for you. He says, none of them want defamation lawsuits because my evidence comes out in discovery and they know it. And I'm actually playing a role in removing Gary Gensler. So that's another person he's taking on, Gary Gensler. Now, if I was in the States and I was on a YouTube channel and I had spoken about unregistered securities, I wouldn't take on Gary Gensler. I just don't think that that's the smartest move in the world, but he's so convinced that he's going to remove Gary Gensler. So listen, love what he's doing. I just really hope that this thing doesn't go out of control. I have tried to speak to him. I hope that he knows what he's doing. And I guess we're going to have to see what plays out. The one part I did like is Atozy. Remember, he sued that YouTuber Atozy, and he said, Atozy came out and said, you sued me for way less than this whole Kevin O'Leary thing. And all these people that he's fighting against, barring Mr. Wonderful, who, to be honest, I've got no beef with, Gary Gensler, SPF, all the people that Ben's taking on, got no issues with. Solana blockchain, I don't agree with his analysis on Solana blockchain. I'll show you in a second why I don't agree with his analysis on the Solana blockchain. I just think that when it comes to Solana, he's wrong. And James from Invest Answers actually made a cool video this weekend, which you should go and watch. Everybody here should go and watch this video. It's called Is Solana Dead? And it's a definitive study. And James really goes into detail with all slides and stats. And James's kind of videos, very, very cool, all about stats. And if you look at the stats, there's really not much that you can argue that Solana does have a very, very bright future. And that's why I was looking to buy some Solana this weekend. If you look at Sol, number one, there was this questionnaire done with Solana devs, 107 Solana devs after the FTX collapse. And it says, how are you feeling about Solana? Are you deploying on any other chains? What is a developer net promoter score? What is a consumer net promoter score? Developer experience of building on Solana? And was your team directly impacted by FTX? And so if you look at the stats here, first thing is, how are you feeling about Solana? Out of 107 responses, 5, I'm not fucking leaving, 54, 4, 24, 3, 18. So people aren't leaving, developers aren't leaving the Solana blockchain. Are you deploying on any other chains? Out of 107 responses, this is what people replied. Only Solana, 71, 66.4% said they're only deploying on Solana. Net promoter score, you want to get as close to 8, 9, and 10 as possible. On a scale of 8, 9, 10, how likely you recommend developers build apps on Solana? So look at that. Look at the overwhelming majority say that the devs are saying it. So you take all of that and you take all of this, and it looks like Solana is still strong. And then you overlay that with developer activity, and you overlay that with transactions and specifically NFT growth, and you can see that NFTs in Solana are still growing. Even though there's an NFT downturn, NFTs in Solana are still growing. So for me, I don't believe this FUD that Ben is doing on Solana. I think it's technologically not possible unless he knows something that we don't know. And if I look at the fundamentals on Solana, the fundamentals are very strong. And that's why I included it in the portfolios. And to be honest, I'm actually starting to buy Solana again. Slowly. I'm not aping into anything, but I am starting to buy Solana again. And the reason why, again, just go and watch this video that James made. It's not our James. It's James from Invest Answers. Our James can't make a video like this. He doesn't have the knowledge about Solana. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm looking a little bit at buying Solana. The other one that I've changed my mind on this weekend is Phantom. So remember I said to you guys that I wasn't buying more Phantom. I wasn't selling my Phantom, but I wasn't buying any more Phantom. And the reason why I wasn't buying any more Phantom, I said, look, there's two things that Phantom doesn't have that I needed. The first thing is they don't have a charismatic leader. So like Ethereum has Vitalik, Avalanche has Emin, Solana has Anatoly and Raj. And I just felt that Phantom didn't have a leader because ever since Andre Cronje left, like there's no leader, there's no champion of the blockchain. Now, of course, you got Michael who's heading up the Phantom Foundation, but I don't think that he's strong enough to be this charismatic leader. So I always say to you guys that, if the thesis changes, then you've got to be able to change your mind about whether you're buying or selling. The other reason I said to you I'm not willing to buy Phantom is because there's not enough VCs behind it. There's just not enough VCs building enough cool or investing in people building enough cool shit on Phantom. But this weekend, some of that changed. And the reason why some of that changed is the first thing that happened was, remember a while back, I said that Andre is speaking in a conference in Miami, 25 to 27 Jan in Miami. He's speaking on behalf of the Phantom Foundation. So Andre, he would have had to approve this because he's speaking there, and he's coming back as the Phantom Foundation. The second thing is he wrote a Medium article, which is strange. Why are you writing Medium articles about Phantom? And he did. He wrote a Medium article about Phantom. And he wrote an inside peek at the financials of the company. And what this goes on to show is it goes on to show that Phantom were actually very, very smart. Because in the bull market, they sold a whole lot of FTM tokens and put them into stables and into other crypto assets. And as a result, what they've got is they've got over $100 million in crypto assets, 50 million in non-crypto assets, excluding their Phantom tokens. So now this foundation has over $150 million. And if you take their burn, if you take the Phantom burn is like $7 million a month or something like that. So, so you take the Phantom burn. Long story short, if you summarize all of this, they've got 30 years of runway left. The Phantom Foundation has got 30 years of runway left, which made me think that, hold on a second, you've got the figurehead potentially coming back, and I have had some private conversation with him on Telegram, and I'm going to leave him private, but I'm going to say to you that the sentiment is not as bad as it was when he left. But chances are he may be back. And if he is back, and the Phantom Foundation really has 30 years of runway, given what other blockchains have lost in this bear market, I actually think it may be worth taking a punt on Phantom. Now, if I look at Phantom, if I look at the price on Phantom, close to the lows, not all-time lows, obviously, but let's just take the Phantom. Okay, it's up a little bit today, 10% today. But if you look at it, let's take a much longer chart. So generally, the price of Phantom hasn't been this low since the beginning of the last bear market. I mean, you can kind of see where it's come from. And so I think it may be worth having some or adding some Phantom to your portfolio. I just think that now may be the right time to do it. Yeah, so that's two tokens that I might add to the portfolio. Solana and Phantom, I'm adding both. I didn't put them in my portfolios over the weekend, but I think probably one to go. And Miles is actually doing a show later on today about Phantom. He's doing a deep dive into Phantom. I think I'm going to watch that, and then let's make a decision after that. Oh, what else is there? There's not. We have a lot to do. Not much time. You had the regulators in the Bahamas coming out. Basically, remember that all eyes on the Bahamas here. A lot of companies go there because it's a tax shelter and because they think they don't have very strong laws. But all eyes are now on the Bahamas because I don't think there's ever been a fraud this big originating out of the Bahamas. And the the regulator in the Bahamas addressed the state. I want to just quickly play you one or two parts of this, assuring people that they are actually taking action. So I want to show you something. It's quickly going to the right part of the video. So this is the first part. I'll be listening to it in 2 speed. Let me just get it back to normal speed so that normal people can listen to it.
The Securities Commission secured the assets of FTX Digital Markets to be held on behalf of and for the benefit and restitution of clients and creditors of FTX.
So they have secured the funds. That's what they're saying. They have secured the funds. I want to take you guys back to the end. In fact, let's go down to the end where he warns people to say, like, this is not going to be a banana republic. The Bahamas is very serious about eradicating this. In fact,
currently being experienced by the digital assets sector will pass, and that there is still much potential for growth and opportunity ahead. In fact, I am fully confident that as matters progress and the activities of the FTX group are either restructured or wound down, the Bahamas will emerge held in even higher esteem. A turbulent cryptocurrency period on a global basis and the downfall of a single Bahamian company in no way threatens a bright future for the Bahamas.
See, so he's fighting for the Bahamas, but then you do a bit of research as to who this guy is, and Twitter does amazing research, and they said the Attorney General for the Bahamas has promised an active. Also, another interesting thing that we saw, which could have been FUD for bankruptcy and conducting major layoffs. Wow. Okay, so there we go. Chapter 11, another one in Chapter 11. So Celsius is in Chapter 11, BlockFi is in Chapter 11. That means they obviously didn't raise their money, which is bad because it means that anybody who's got money in anybody's got money in BlockFi, which means that you're now going to have to wait a long time to get your money back. I wish people would have listened. I always said, I don't like BlockFi. I just didn't like BlockFi. I suppose Celsius is also gone. When I did like Celsius. To be honest, I did like Celsius. I didn't realize what Alex was doing, but I did like Celsius. We allow them to, we do our due diligence, and then we decide who can and who can't be a sponsor of the show. For example, there's Brazil against Switzerland. If I want to take a draw on Switzerland, I'm not telling you guys, don't do it. Don't. Damn it. Now.
Well, it is my pleasure. Take us back, right? You're now
the C80 camp and the 8086 camp, all the PC peripheral components around it too, right? And so what happened was that I was still pretty proud of what I started, a math coprocessor, because I didn't care originally, and I wrote a small software emulation layer, but there was this, I think, guy in Germany who said, I have a math coprocessor and I can't use it. It only uses your emulation and it's really slow. So I actually became pretty old too. And for the people who actually were involved, it was never about the competition. It was like in some of the early months, and people staying more at home meant that they were about code issues, because code you can discuss over email and you can actually quote the actual piece of code, active participants, and do a lot of development and HG. So it's multifaceted, let's put it that way. Basically boiled down to everybody has to be able to participate in source code, but just as a general approach to many problems. And I think one of the most important parts to open source for me has been that long time, just to contrast that with the other project I started, Git. And that was almost overnight in comparison. It was that was a project that I kind of knew what I was getting into. And I've started a project before, and now I'm starting a new project, and I was like, this is going to take years, and nobody's interested in source code. code control anyway, and CVS has been around for decades, and nobody has ever been able to really replace CVS. And initially that seemed to be very true, and then that was overnight. The Ruby people, strange people, started using Git, and suddenly it just exploded, and that was very different from Linux, which was interesting to see.
Yeah. Now let's move forward a little bit. AI and machine learning, right? Obviously, lots of open source projects going on in that space, but your views on how that
right. I mean, we've seen that in other projects too. It's not just AI. I think AI is the one that people are now very aware of, just because it's such a big issue, both technically and from an economic standpoint. But if you look at a lot of other software and hardware issues, you do see some of the same things, where game engines, for example, is something where on the one hand you have the code, and on the other hand you have the data and the game environment, and the two are fairly clearly separated. And you can have one game engine that runs many different games, and a lot of the intellectual property ends up being on the pure data side.
Yeah. Well, and even here, I mean, when we think about things like ethical AI, a lot of it has nothing to do with the algorithms. It has everything to do with the training sets, for that algorithm. And if they're closed, do I know that this was a good model that was produced associated with it?
Well, and we're seeing all the same issues that you see with people when you have data sets that are biased in ways you don't even realize. Yeah, no. I have to say, I only get involved with AI in the sense that we see it on the kernel side on the hardware space, where we provide drivers for the accelerators. And I've been so hyper-focused on the kernel that anything I say about AI is likely to be wrong anyway.
And I love what you said to me in our stage interview. I was trying to get you to predict the future, and 20 years down the road. And how did you describe yourself?
That I'm a plodding engineer, right? And I take pride in that, but I realize it also means that there are these people with visionaries that want to talk about the big picture, and I don't tend to be one of those.
Yeah, well, and I think there is something in that constancy of purpose in a consistent direction, right? You just keep progressing.
And you need all kinds, right? You need the kind of person who sticks to one project for 30 years, which, I mean, not everybody will do, right?
Yeah, that's a different personality.
Yeah.
As well. So here we are, right? We're at the Intel Innovation Event. Right, we say, and as I like to say, we used to have the Intel Developer Forum, and I am bringing back that spirit, engaging with developers, rebuilding of, our cred in the open community, open standards, interfaces, Wi-Fi's, USB, PCIe's, now we're doing chiplet standards, etc. And as you would look at us, how's Intel doing?
Well, I think everybody knows that issue. The problems on the execution side have been pretty painful for everybody. And I don't see any of the hardware and fab issues. What I have seen are kind of the fallout from the Intel software development standpoint, where the last few years have not been quite as ebullient as they were before, and people have not been as happy with being inside of Intel, because I don't think Intel has necessarily been a very happy place for a few years, and I'm hoping that's changing.
Well, that's certainly my job, right, to change it as well, and we're getting on it, right, as we rebuild, and obviously having events like this one are about rebuilding our
based around hardware. I loved how NVMe turned out. PCIe is obviously another great thing. The x86 architecture in general. I just think put good hardware out there and document it enough that it will be the standard. That's all I ask for, because that makes my job so much easier. There are clearly other companies that don't do the documentation part, for example, and don't help
Well, that's why you
their...
liked me in the first place. I
Yeah.
documented the 3D sketch
Absolutely,
really well.
right. No, documentation is important, even if I'm probably the wrong person to say that since I never write any myself. so
How dare you?
Yeah, no, it's being a bit, asking others to do something I can't do. But it's also participation, yes, being, especially for a hardware company when it takes years to get a process or a processor or other new hardware out into the market. And then it takes like a week when you announce it, and it's, well, it hopefully takes a week when you announce it and it's on shelves. For us to support it, it usually takes months or years. So being proactive and actually interacting with the community before the product is out.
Yeah.
And Intel has been good in that sense.
Yeah. Well, and tomorrow we'll be announcing early hardware on the Intel Dev Cloud, right? Which starting to put up our products months, if not a year or more. That developers start to have access to them sooner and starting to really, and to me, I'm just passionate about this re-engagement, that people can start saying, oh, that's a cool idea, and we're ready to be tested on our ideas early in the process. Get that feedback early, get the hardware out there in their hands.
And since I have your ear, and this may be cut out, the thing I sometimes despise about different companies, and Intel has had that problem, is when you do market segmentation where certain features only exist in certain markets that aren't necessarily as available as others. And I'm thinking of things like the transactional memory. I mean, it's gone now. Maybe it's never coming back. But that was very painful for us when only certain server CPUs had it, and the people who actually needed to develop for it couldn't access it easily on their own desktops. And that's I think an area where Intel can maybe improve and not let the market segmentation drive these kind of technical issues that make it hard for developers.
Well, I look forward to always getting your feedback in the future, right? And maybe just one fun little way to finish our time together. What is this about? First ever Intel Innovation Award. I couldn't think of somebody more impactful for the evolution of technology, the development of an entirely new software model, and deploying in something that literally has become the operating system of choice for so many industries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude, I love pigeons. I have so many pigeons.
But you like pigeons?
Yeah.
Oh, we got one. We got a pigeon for you. This is weird. Why do we have it?
How did we not win that award?
How did we not win that award?
How the fuck did we not win that award?
Look at this really quick when you're done with that. Mike Tyson took 4 grams of mushrooms and is playing with a pigeon on our podcast. Why did the award go to anybody fucking else?
Hey, listen, I have 500 pigeons.
You have that many pigeons?
A lot.
Have you ever done a head count? Like, is it actually 500 pigeons?
No, but
Why?
Excuse me?
What the pigeon?
It's my culture. Yeah, dude, I love pigeons. I have so many pigeons.
But you like pigeons?
Yeah.
Oh, we got one. We got a pigeon for you. This is weird. Why do we have it?
How did we not win that award?
How did we not win that award?
Nas ain't got a lot of people with him, but he got a lot of people with him, if you know what I mean. And I'm seeing him and I'm knowing, because I'm a gangbang. I'm seeing with their hands on their guns. Tupac got the whole death row in the... We riled up.
This guy came out of his house on Halloween dressed as Michael Jackson, but...
You regret your statements? What statements you think you...
Excuse me, sir. How you doing?
Pretty good.
My name is David. I'm a photographer. I go around taking free pictures of strangers. I think it'd be an honor if I can take a picture of you.
You could take a picture, but I'm not that interested.
It'll be just a portrait. It'll be quick and easy.
No problem. You doing this for school or something?
For me, I create content. I make videos, short videos.
No, that's pretty cool.
Where I go up to strangers, ask for a picture, and then just post the results. Well, let's do it. Just one right here. You don't have to move. One more with you smiling.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
Excuse me, sir. How you doing?
I don't understand. Maybe it's an inside joke. We had like 200 people say, ask him about his real voice. I'm like, what does that mean? Is that an inside joke?
You gotta hit us off. You gotta spit something. All right, how?
Detect a smell of marijuana in the car. Is there marijuana in the car, sir?
Yeah, there's a little bit.
Okay, didn't you buy it here at one of these local shops?
No, I brought it down from Denver.
Oh, you brought the marijuana from Colorado?
Yep.
Okay, sit tight.
Man, tripping.
So, here in California, we do things a little different, okay? Just present whatever you have in the car, show it to me. If it's not an absurd amount, like I said, you'll be free to go, okay?
Okay.
So, let me just see what marijuana you have in the car. Okay, can you open up the bag for me, please, sir? Okay, I'm gonna need you right now to go ahead and throw that out the window. Throw it out the window, sir. Trust me, this is a lot easier this way, okay? Okay. And I want you to sign right here where the X is, okay? You're not getting a speeding ticket today, but you are getting a ticket. Okay? This is a ticket for littering. Yes, for littering, sir.
What the fuck, bro? Man. Littering?
That weed was trash. Detect a smell of marijuana in the car. Is there marijuana in the car, sir?
Yeah, there.
I rapped on stage tonight with 50 Cent.
It's a surprise that he came out.
He didn't give me no money.
He left.
Did you know that women leave men 80% of the time? And if they're college educated, it's 90. So if you get divorced, it's 80% of the time like the woman leaves. And one of the number one predictors of a divorce is actually if the woman out-earns the man.
Oh, I love that. I actually love that. I can't lie. I actually
You love that? You don't think that's kind of
No, I'm like, girl, you go get that. You go get a man and like, yeah, you go get that. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Like, why is there like a lack of empathy for men?
It's not a lack of empathy. It's
but
more
there
of
is
a
because like
support,
they're breaking up a family and a lifelong commitment in a home, and your reaction is you go get the bag, sis, or like I'm so happy for you. When that's actually a really like that's a sad situation. Like your wife is leaving you. Did you know that women leave?
Rolando, this is my dad.
What's up, Miss Laveau? Nice to meet you.
This guy came out of his
Nas ain't got a lot.
But when I was 23 was the first time I made love to a woman, right? Like 8 or...
Excuse me, sir. How you
Check.
You gotta hit us off.
You regret your statements?
What's up, B?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Women. W.
Leonardo DiCaprio had a problem saying the word nigga. Pal, it's tough for me to say this. And I remember Samuel Jackson going, "Get over it, motherfucker. It's just another Tuesday, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck about these motherfuckers. Look who I am, motherfucker. Fuck." And it was like, you know, and I said, yeah, I said, Leo, we're not friends. I said, this is just another Thursday. This is your property. These are humans. These are your property. When Leo came in the next day, it was literally like, I was like, "What's up, Leo? What's up, fam?" Didn't speak. Leonardo DiCaprio had a problem.
I would never ever choose.
Raise your hand.
I would never ever choose a handgun over a shotgun for home defense. And I'll show you exactly why. I have one of the most common handguns in the world. It's a Glock 17 chambered in.
Raise your hand if you have heard a rumor about Miss Barker and I. There is a rumor going around that Miss Barker and I are dating. So,
Georgiana?
Is that your maid?
No, it's a masseuse. Georgiana, can you bring my sunglasses, please? I don't know where they are.
Yo!
Right.
Yeah, she like, why is he talking to me like that? He didn't talk to me like that off camera, bro. What the fuck?
So what were we talking about?
That's fact. Yeah, he definitely apologizes to her. And said,
Yo, be real. When the camera goes off, your apology like, yo, I'm sorry, I'm speaking to you that way.
And takes care of her off camera. None of this shit.
I'm gonna give you a good tip today.
Hold on, bro. What you just say?
Let me get a pack of wood.
Pack of woods?
Yeah.
Bro, how old are you?
I'm 21.
21?
Yeah.
What year was you born?
I was born 2001.
Boy, you were lying. Let me see your ID. Not your link card, your ID.
I left it at my crib.
You 21 though?
Yeah.
Alright, I believe you. I believe you. $8.
You said what?
$8.
Apple Pay.
Alright. Here. Yeah, alright, boy, you thought.
Come on, man.
You thought. You thought I was gonna sell you that? Well, you look like you 12 about to turn 10.
I'm his uncle.
You his uncle?
Yeah.
Nah, his uncle my ass, boy. You was not his uncle. Hold on, bro, what you just say?
Let me get a pack of wood.
Pack of woods?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit my car.
You got insurance?
Yeah. What you doing? What you doing?
I'm gonna be your witness. I was in the car with you. I got hurt too.
I'm gonna hit my car.
You got insurance?
Yeah. What you doing?
Last one's 110. So what the fuck are you doing? Spike's playing an A, Jesus Christ.
Hold on, Spike is default, right?
Oh my god, not this fucking shit again.
Hold on, I just need to find the right pixel. That should be good.
Oh my god, go touch some fucking grass. How much free time do you actually have? Jesus Christ.
What can I say? I got lineups.
I swear to god if you actually hit this. What the
Okay. Abraham, no, my man.
What is he doing?
Under arrest. Look, I'm under watch. Gentlemen. You be able to see this? You see this? Yeah. Peer pressure by Mike Tyson. Here we are, grilling and everything.
So my dad has no clue what only.
So Maggie, when you're comfortable,